Hey Floss Tube, this is Brian. Welcome back. This is my 66th Floss Tube video, and I plan on sharing with you what I have been working on. It's been 3 weeks, and we'll talk a little bit about why it's been so long in a little bit. First of all, I want to welcome you. If you are new to my channel, welcome. I hope that you enjoy the things that I have to share with you. If you are returning, thank you for coming back and watching my videos. I really appreciate it. So as I said, it's been 3 weeks. We've had a couple of busy weekends. Actually, the first weekend that I was gone, I didn't tell you this, but I had surgery to remove a basal cell carcinoma that was on the side of my head. And so that Saturday, that was the day after the surgery, and I had a great big huge bandage on the side of my head and didn't feel much like doing much of anything. The stitches came out yesterday, and I'm so glad to have the stitches gone, and it looks like things are healing quite well, and I'm really happy with that. But that's why this side of my head is uneven as compared to this side of my head, as they had to shave that area before they did the surgery. Everything's fine. Skin cancer is really quite common down here in Arizona because of the sun. And the kind of skin cancer that I had is the common type that doesn't really, that just needs to be taken out. There's no other things that we need to worry about. So that's good. And I'm looking forward to finishing healing and getting this side of my head back to normal. The other thing that happened is last weekend we took a quick trip to Utah. We had a niece that got married in Manti, and we decided to drive it really fast, not thinking, oh, it was only Manti. Manti is a small town in central Utah. And we thought, oh, that's not as far as Salt Lake, but it's really not that much difference. It was only 2 hours. So we took a quick drive up on Thursday, did the wedding on Friday, and drove back Saturday. So we were pretty tired with all the driving that we did. It was really, we had a really good time. I really enjoyed the drive up. We have not driven that way for quite some time for various reasons. And it was nice to drive up US 89. And I've never been to Manti before, so this is the first time I've even been to Manti. Manti is kind of a cute little town. It's in the middle of nowhere, but it's really quite a pretty town. One of the things that we did on the way up is we decided to cut over and go see Bryce Canyon. So we spent a little bit of time at Bryce Canyon, looking over Bryce Canyon, which is another really beautiful spot. And it was kind of fun to have the time to be able to do that. We about froze to death. It was really cold up in Utah. Like in the mornings, it was below freezing, and we're not used to that. It was one of the things that was really fun is we saw a lot of fall colors, which we don't get fall here in Arizona, so it was really nice to see leaves changing and red and yellow leaves, and I just really enjoyed the drive. It was just really beautiful driving up. Basically, I loved the drive from Kanab up US 89 through Mount Carmel and Orderville and Hatch, and then up through Panguitch, and then I've been to Panguitch before, but past Panguitch, I've never driven that road, and up through Circleville, and just driving through these small towns in central Utah. It was really a great time. So anyway, it's for that reason that I missed 2 weekends filming videos. But I'm back. I've been stitching, and I have a lot to share with you, so we'll get to that in a minute. So I've mentioned this before, and I've given away a lot of charts from the Fat Quarter Shop. They contacted me, I guess it's been about a year, ago, asking me if they could send me charts that I could use to use in my videos, and I've given away a lot of their charts. This is a little bit off topic, but all of a sudden they've started sending me quilt books, and I'm not a quilter. I can sew, but just barely, and I've never really been entirely interested in quilting. So I've got these quilt books. I've got 2 or 3 quilt books that I think I am going to give away on my channel because they're not much use to me. So this I'm going to give one away this week. So this is the first book that they sent me, and it's called Farm Girl Vintage 2. And I'm assuming that there's a Farm Girl Vintage 1, or I'm just not. Yeah, I haven't really paid much attention to the quilting world. But this is a really, really cool book. It has a whole bunch of quilt blocks that are it's basically sampler quilt blocks, different pictures that have been made into quilt blocks. Has a very country feel, and then after it shows how to make all these blocks, it has a whole bunch of ideas as to how to put together them in quilts. So this is a sampler quilt. She also has several other quilts that are really quite cool. So like she has this idea of doing a great big huge block that's a truck, and then a whole bunch of flower blocks underneath. That's kind of cool. Another, let me see here. She also has what she calls mix and match, where you take one block and then alternate it with another. I think there's like different 3 or 4 different blocks you can use for the alternate block. And then she talks about making quilts that look like gingham. And then there are, I really like, these are kind of cool, some barn star quilts. So there's lots of good ideas in here. I look at these and this is way above anything I would be able to do. I just look at these blocks and mostly because there's a lot of places where you're dealing with little very small pieces of fabric to piece together the larger block. They just look really complicated to me. But I know that I'm pretty sure that there are quilters that follow me. So if you are interested in receiving this book, I'm going to give it away. If you want to receive the book or be entered in the drawing for it, then make a comment down below and mention the word quilt. Now, I mentioned this before. I'm going to use the YouTube random comment picker, and I don't have any way to tell it whether or not to make the search for when it finds valid comments. I don't have any way to tell it to do a case insensitive search. So when you use the word quilt in your comment, make sure that it's all lowercase to guarantee that you will be selected for the drawing. Okay, so there you go. I have a couple of other books that I'm going to give away, but I'm going to give them away one at a time. So take a look at that. It's kind of, I don't know why all of a sudden I've started getting quilt stuff, but there are a couple of other books that they've sent me that look like they might tempt me to try my hand at quilting. We'll see what happens. Okay? Okay, let's talk about what I have been working on for the past 3 weeks. So the last time I filmed a video, I said that I spun my wheel, and the wheel came up with the Drawn Thread Winter Garden, which is a design that I've been working on. And I said, I was about 2/3 of the way finished with it. And I said, I don't know if I will be able to finish this. We'll see how far we get. And so I worked on it, and I got to the end of the week, and I was really close to finishing it. So I decided to finish it. So I have a finish, which is really exciting. So this is my finish. This is the winter garden, which this has been kind of a challenge for me, and it has taught me a lot of things. It has taught me more about how to work with specialty stitches. It has taught me how to work more successfully with silk, and it has been really fun to stitch, and I have really enjoyed it. So I stitched everything on this side of the house this last time. So there's holly, this is a pine, this is hellebore and cedar, and there was also a little bit of heath that I still had to stitch, and of course this red bird up here. So yeah, it's all finished. I'm really happy with how it turned out. Well, I'll say this. There are a couple of pretty egregious errors in here. I'm not going to show you them because I don't think that they are all that bad, and I was not in a state of mind to be able to fix them. But I think they're not noticeable, so, and they're not going to bug me, so I'm going to leave them. This is the whole thing. We have dogwood, juniper, poinsettia, conifer, the house, cedar, hellebore, pine, and holly. My favorites is this cedar tree. This tree was really fun to stitch, and I really liked this the conifer as well. I think those are my two favorite trees. The pine tree. Okay, there's a bit of a confession here, and I have proof that my wife loves me with this tree. Because, okay, I will admit that I am not always really careful with the amount of floss that I use. I have a hard time making myself work with shorter lengths of floss. And I got over here, and I got over here to this pine tree, and I was stitching it, and I was running out of this color, this green color for the tree. And I was just, am I gonna make it? Am I gonna make it? And I ran out of floss and still had 2 more branches to stitch. And I said to my wife, I'm not gonna be able to finish this. I'm going to have to order another skein of floss so that I can finish these branches. And she says, well, that's a shame to have to buy a whole skein of floss just for that little piece. I said, yeah, I know. And then she looked over. I have a big quart jar that I use for my orts, for my leftover pieces of floss. And she said, well, do you have some of this color in this jar? I said, yeah, well, I might, but I'm not gonna go searching through that because it was almost full. So think of a quart jar full of floss. She said, well, I'm gonna go looking. So she started sorting through all of the floss in my jar, and she kept coming up with, is it this one? Is it this one? And she finally found a length of floss that I decided was the same color. And it was long enough for me to finish these branches. So my wife is a hero, and she proves that she loved me because she went sorting through my ort jar. Anyway, I'm really happy with this. I have planning on stitching the other 3 gardens. I think that I'm going to work backwards through the year, so my plan is to do autumn next. I'm not quite sure when that will be, but probably sooner rather than later, because I like the challenge and I like learning more about stitching this kind of thing with specialty stitches. I'm working up to a couple of other pieces that I want to do that have specialty stitches, I think. Okay. The next week I took a break. Just an update, my arm is doing better. I think I've figured out what I've been doing to cause my problem, and I'm working on getting everything fixed. So the next thing that I did is, so I took a break off for a week, partly because I wasn't going to have a whole week to stitch, because we were going to Utah, and I just wasn't in the mood for stitching, and felt like I needed to take a break. So, and then the week after, I spun my wheel. I didn't show it on camera, but I did spin my wheel, and it came up English Garden Sampler. So I've been working on English Garden Sampler for the past week. Of course, this is a design by Teresa Wentzler. It's a garden scene with a couple of peacocks. And I'll show you what it looked like the last time you saw it. I'm stitching this on 25 count Lugana, and I am stitching it with Sullivans instead of DMC floss, and I've talked about that before. Yeah, I don't think I'll use Sullivans again, but it's been a good experiment, I guess. So let me think, what else? So the last time you saw it, I still had a little bit of the alphabet to go, and this is what it looks like now. So I finished the alphabet. I stitched the last 4 letters of the alphabet, and then I stitched this tree and the bottom border here, and then I started working on the hedge. There's a hedge that goes, you can see it here. There's a hedge that goes along the bottom with a gate in the middle, and then there's a peacock that sits on the gate, or the fence, I guess, that's behind the hedge. So I started working on that, and I got the first triangle, and I stitched another diagonal. So this is well underway, and I kind of hit the end of the week and would like to do more, because I'd like to see more of this take shape. But I'm going to put off working on it for a little while. You might be surprised. I'm starting over here on this side. I usually start over on this side, but the reason why I decided to stitch this way is because of the peacock. The peacock kind of slopes up the same way, and I thought it would be easier to deal with the peacock's neck coming up out of here if my diagonals were going this way, across the neck instead of parallel to the neck. So that's why I'm stitching down here. And I also stitched this square down here. There will eventually be Roman numerals in here, as well as some other decoration. So I'll give you a little bit closer look of what I stitched. This alphabet is stitched over 1. I can't tell you how happy I am to have the alphabet finished. And I think it really turned out quite nicely. And then of course there's this tree, which is a lot like this tree. And then I stitched this box, and then there's that. You can kind of see there's like flowers, and then it looks like there's a path that runs along here too. So there's a little bit of brown in there. And I've got about 10 more stitches, so the next diagonal will bring me up to the top of the fence. And so I've just got kind of this narrow strip to come all the way across. It shouldn't take as long to stitch as this did up here because it's a lot smaller. So I need to finish this, and then we'll start worrying about back stitching and specialty stitches and beads and cut work. So there's still a long ways to go with this piece. It's still, I don't know how far out. It's still a ways out. Anyway, I'm really happy with what I was able to accomplish and look forward to working on it a little bit more. Okay, so that brings me to my plans for this week. I am finally through to the end of my rotation. I have one piece left to stitch and I'll made it through my rotation. It has been a long time through my rotation, what with vacation and my arm, and it's just taken a while. So it feels like it's been forever. And the last piece I'm not going to spin because I know what it would be. The last piece that I have to stitch is a Mid-Amish Life. So yeah, of course this is a design from Cross Stitch and Country Crafts. It was originally published in the March, May, and July 1987 issues of Cross Stitch and Country Crafts. And it's an Amish scene. I'm stitching them as all one piece instead of 3 separate pieces. You can find that in that. It's also available in that book, which is 101 Best Love Designs from Cross Stitch and Country Crafts. It's also available, I've heard that it's available as its own leaflet, and it's also available in the last issue of Cross Stitch and Country Crafts that was published a couple of years ago. Okay, I'll show you where I am with it. This is what it looks like now. So I'm getting close to finishing the house, and I'm working over here on the next design. Starts right here. So yeah, I'm really happy with how this is turning out, and I look forward to stitching on this a little bit more. So that's the next one in my rotation. However, last Tuesday was my birthday. And for months, I've been telling myself, I'm going to do a new start on my birthday this year. I haven't ever done that before, but I thought, I need to do a new start on my birthday. And I was so busy with English Garden Sampler that I thought, well, I'll do a new start when I finish this week. So I am considering doing a new start. My problem is I haven't decided what I want to start. There's a lot of things calling to me, and I haven't decided which one I want to start the most. I am starting to get into a Christmas mood, and I don't have any Christmas pieces, so it might be something Christmas. I've got a couple of ideas, but I haven't made any firm plans, which is really bad because I need to decide by this evening. So I am considering doing a Christmas, a new start to celebrate my birthday. And then if I do that, then I'll work on a Mid-Amish Life next week. At any rate, I hope that is about all that I have to share with you. As always, you can you can follow my daily progress and see what I actually decide to start on Instagram. I am at blitstitch on Instagram, and you are welcome to follow me there. Also, thank you so much for watching this video. Feel free to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Feel free to like this video if you like it. And as always, I enjoy hearing your comments and would be glad to answer any questions that you have for me. As always, I hope that you have a great week, and we will talk to you later. Goodbye.